Hello everyone, and welcome to this video where I just look at a few different posts that I've seen around the internet and react to them. It's mainly going to be stuff concerning funny things that I find conservatives saying. So, content warning for this video, I may get a little bit heated as I go through all of these various things that I found on the internet, and as we all know, angry black men are very scary, so proceed with caution. Okay, so this post is basically talking about the increase in minimum wage to $15 an hour. Well, who's going to pay these increases in wages? My husband is in grocery stores every day, all day, yet he doesn't qualify in this. And we are not asking for hazard pay, we are just grateful he still has had a job. If anyone thinks that this is best, then they are quite wrong. Again, who is going to pay for this mandated hazard pay? Sure isn't the city council and sure isn't going to be the stores, it will be the shopper. Those who haven't been able to work will be hit hardest. They can't afford to feed their families now. What makes anyone, oh, there's no punctuation. What makes anyone think that they will be able to after price hikes? If you think so, sure. Okay, so this isn't about the increase in minimum wage, it's about actually providing people with hazard pay for working during a pandemic, which should be a given. You know, you're working in an environment where you are highly likely to contract a virus that could potentially kill you and has already killed 500,000 Americans so far. And this person says some of the things that employers love to hear, that her husband is grateful to even have a job. When employees express that they're grateful to just have a job in the first place, employers know that they have them by the balls, basically, because they're not going to ask for anything more out of their job because they're just grateful to be there and grateful to be getting a paycheck. And she is correct, probably, in that if hazard pay were to be given to these employees, the price of that will probably trickle down to the consumers because, as we all know, that's how trickle down economics actually work. This is the big issue when it comes to this kind of topic because we are always like, if we increase wages for people, then who's going to pay for those wages? The obvious answer should be the employers. It should be the people who run the company. It should be the folks who have hundreds of millions or billions of dollars taking just the tiniest pay cut in order to pay their employees a little bit more money per month. But the real offset mitigation thing that we have become used to in American society, and that people know is going to happen because we've done it over and over and over again, is that goods are just going to become more expensive, and then the people who already don't have money are going to have to spend more money to live. And that means that the system is broken. That doesn't mean don't do something that's going to help workers. It means we need to fix something that has been fundamentally broken for a very long time now. Throwing workers under the bus by saying that they don't deserve hazard pay and that they should just be happy to have a job is not the play. That is not how we should be proceeding. We should be looking at the top earners in our society and going, why do they continue to get more and more and more money while we continue to just kind of stay completely flatlined for decades? Change the system. Don't victimize the workers. So stupid. Like, you can't go an entire semester without a 10-day break. That's how the real world is. You get 10 days a year. Grow up. You'll be fine missing your spring break for a semester. Okay, first of all, spring break is 1 week. So it's actually 5 days, 5 school days. Second of all, accepting that you only get 10 days off a year is not a sign of maturity. It's a sign of complacency. It's you telling other people that only having 10 days off a year is normal and expected and that you shouldn't whine about it. That's not good. 10 days off a year is not good at all. And the fact that a lot of people have to like work up to be able to get 10 days off a year, like, you can't take any paid vacation from your job at all unless you worked for like half a year at some place, definitely says a lot that we really value our productivity more than our actual workers' well-being and actual happiness. And it just feeds back into the whole idea that you have no worth and you don't deserve a break unless you are productive and unless you sell your body for the good of some corporation that really could not care less about you. But no, everybody deserves a break, no matter what. People deserve to live, and they deserve to live their lives in ways that they desire. And if they don't desire to work every single weekday for 8 hours a day, every single week, and only get 10 days off for an entire year, then they are allowed to demand more. They're allowed to be like, hey, why is it that I only get 10 days off a year? What's up with that? Can I get some more? And if you're not allowed to get more, then do something about it. Don't just be like, oh, well, it's always been like this, so I guess I'll just have to submit, what can be done? Next up. Oh, this is a longer one. Oh, I remember this. Okay. We're talking about natural law here, not random animals in nature who act against the natural law and order of things. It's twisted that animals would eat their own young, but that's because we live in a fallen world. However, animals don't have free will, so they're incapable of choosing good or evil, only able to follow their base instincts that have been corrupted in our fallen world, just like humanity has been corrupted because of the effects of human sin on the entire world. But that's getting into a deeper religious argument. As if this isn't already incredibly religious, you're talking about a fallen world. However, humans are rational beings with conscience and free will, and therefore are able to choose between good and evil. We have the free will to choose to murder our children, and we should choose the option that doesn't involve that. Because according to the true natural order of things, meaning you're not supposed to kill your offspring, that sentence is not structured properly. Just because it occurs in nature doesn't make it morally acceptable or according to natural law itself. They literally just said nature is not natural, and that humans both exist in nature and outside of nature at the exact same time. And humans are the ones who determine natural law just by the way that we act. Apparently, according to this person, humans committing sin, according to, has a widespread effect on how nature itself acts and how animals act. I don't want to dwell on this one too much. I'm just too baffled because I don't really have anything to say in response to this. I just don't understand what she was talking about. Wanting a strong woman is a sign of homosexuality. Any masculine man wants a submissive woman. Fellas, is it gay to be straight? Yes, because all masculine men want submissive women. That's all that we ever ask for. And if you don't want a submissive woman, you might not actually be into women. Wow. Homophobia is wild. A $15 minimum wage will hurt the people most in need of jobs. How do I know? At 15, I was on my own, working 3 jobs and paying the bills. Thankfully, the government hadn't made it too expensive for those businesses to give me an opportunity to work. So this one is very much like the other one that we read that was about work, and that one in particular was about hazard pay. This one is actually about increasing the minimum wage. And this guy is saying the exact wonderful buzzwords that employers love to hear. He was happy to have the opportunity to work 3 jobs at the age of 15 to pay his bills. I feel like that should say enough. The fact that he had to work 3 jobs at the same exact time to pay his bills should be kind of an indication that maybe we need to increase our minimum wage. Maybe just a tiny bit, So people, don't have to work 3 jobs in order to live. But, I mean, I'm just some bleeding heart liberal lefty. What do I know? Like, why do I want people to only have to worry about having 1 job at a time so that they can live and not have to worry about whether or not they're going to get evicted or have their power shut off next month? Plus, I mean, why only limit one person to having 1 job if one person can have 3 jobs and thereby take the 2 extra jobs away from 2 other potential people that could have also worked those jobs? Because who cares about the unemployment rate? As long as people get to work as many jobs as they want and never actually spend time living their life because they're too busy working jobs all the time to pay their bills, which is an arbitrary amount of money because who determines how much you have to pay in your bills? Who determines rent? Why is rent as high as it is? Why does electricity cost what it does? Why does gas cost what it does? Because some people decided that it did. And it's just the way it is. And there's no need to change any of it because we live in the land of opportunity. The opportunity to work three jobs at the exact same time so you can literally live. Okay, so this is the one that's probably going to get me a little bit mad because it's talking about black privilege. Black privilege, the ability to break every law in the country and still remain the victim. Can you tell me what exactly is wrong with this graphic? Just off the top of my head, I don't even have to research any of this. I can tell you a number of black people that were not even committing crimes and got punished for it. We have Emmett Till, who allegedly whistled at a white woman at the age of 14 named Carol Bryant, if I remember correctly. Carol's husband heard about this, got a gang of his friends to come around, beat Emmett Till, tie him to the back of their truck, and then drag him across the countryside until he died. And then they dumped his body into the river. And if I remember correctly, they didn't go to jail over this. I'm pretty sure they didn't. And then, fast forward 60 years, Carol admitted that she lied, that Emmett Till never did that to her. So she is responsible for getting a 14-year-old black kid killed for just existing near she was. And she didn't like it, apparently. But no, yeah, you're allowed to break every law in the country and still remain the victim. Trayvon Martin was walking through a neighborhood in Florida wearing a hoodie, and if I remember correctly, he had Skittles in his pocket. And then George Zimmerman came out and shot him to death and didn't go to prison for it. We have Philando Castile, who was pulled over while driving with his partner and kids. And when asked for his driver's license, he did the exactly perfectly legal and expected thing that you should do, told the officer that he had a gun in the car that he legally owned and that he was going to slowly lower his hands to get his ID. And the officer freaked out at the idea of a black guy having a gun in his car and shot him until he died in front of his girlfriend and his kids. Let's see, George Floyd committed the crime of using a counterfeit $20 bill and had his neck knelt on until he suffocated to death. Between 2001 and 2010, there were over, I believe, 8 million arrests involving, I want to say marijuana use specifically. 88% of those arrests were just for possessing marijuana. And even though there is a very similar ratio between white people and black people using marijuana, black people were nearly 4 times more likely to get arrested for simply having marijuana on them. Black people have classically not been able to really even exist without being punished for it, let alone breaking laws. Black people who break laws get punished more severely than white people who break laws, on average. Like, there is just statistical proof that that is the case. Meanwhile, like, the first white guy that comes to mind is Brock Turner, who was literally caught in the middle of fucking raping somebody, and he went to jail for 3 months. 3 months. Caught literally raping someone. And we have so many cases of affluent white people coming from affluent white families doing things like blatantly committing fraud or using drugs or this or that or whatever, and they never go to prison over it. They go to rehab, they get help, they have support from community and from their families, because that's the way that you should treat people who are addicted to drugs. Maybe not the way that you should treat people who like commit fraud all the time, but whatever, people who commit fraud can become the president if they're white. So clearly, black privilege exists. Clearly, black privilege is the ability to break every law in the country and still remain the victim. I nearly got arrested for walking into a fucking Jack in the Box when I was still going to college. I walked in, ordered some food, gave them my card to pay. The cashier took my card into the back, talked to her boss, and then came back and told me that she couldn't serve me. The boss came around from the back, told me to go to a specific part of the restaurant and sit down while he called security on me. Security had to come by, look at me, and tell him that I wasn't the guy they were looking for. I literally walked into a Jack in the Box and nearly got arrested for it because I was some black guy. Fuck off with this. Fuck off with this. Last one, I want to end on a funny and kind of lighthearted note. Apparently, Hasbro is releasing a gender neutral potato head for the Potato Head family. Headlined by Fox as Mr. Potato Head goes gender neutral, Hasbro announces. This person's commentary. If some things were in the history books before I was even born, it's staying that way till I die. I ain't gonna change something that I learned way back for some petty having ass people who get offended easily and can all of a sudden try and rewrite history. The fuck does history have to do with Mr. Potato Head? I just love this so much because it's this person literally admitting that they are committed to their ignorance. That something that they learned as a child is what they're going to believe for the rest of their entire life. You know, never mind the idea that history books may have been a little bit altered to make the people writing them look a little bit better. Maybe some things were swept under the rug. Maybe there were some lies put into them by the victors of whoever came out on top during that moment of history. Never mind any of that. And, you know, never mind the idea that she's getting mad over a potato. It's a potato. Like, why are you getting mad that there's a gender neutral potato? Potatoes are naturally gender neutral. But no, apparently Hasbro is now discontinuing Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head, every other potato child in the entire potato family. They're all gender neutral now. And you just have to live with it. You have to live with your potatoes not having a gender. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is the first time I've done something like this. And I guess my first video on this new channel that I hope to kick off. I hope that this was entertaining in some kind of way. I would like to do more stuff like this sometime in the future. Well, yeah, if you enjoyed it, I would very much like if you could hit the subscribe button maybe if you're interested in seeing any more any more kind of content like this. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.